Hi there, welcome to Aries-Some Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Aries energy. And we're going to shuffle out these cards. Then we're going to get out some cards out of the Intuit deck. And at the end, we're going to ask what could be a possible outcome that people might not see coming, depending on how they harness their Aries energy. We all kind of tap into Aries energy. This might be an energy that more affects, could be something people who are Aries sun sign, but people can have a lot of Aries in their chart, and everybody taps into Aries energy either in a more high vibe way, a more worldly focused way, or a more shadowy way. Life's about learning lessons. Aries energy is about the self. Some people are still just about themselves. Aries energy is fire sign energy. Some people are really fired up about the things of the world that they want to go indulge in, that they think will make them happy. So whatever those things are, if it's more about money or ego or image or themselves, that's what they're kind of motivated and inspired by. Other people have learned lessons in life and learned that love is what makes it all worthwhile. And they've learned lessons to temper their more shadowy nature: pride, ego, fear, insecurity, defensiveness, selfishness, immaturity. And they've learned lessons in life. And they hold themselves accountable for their actions. They hold other people accountable for their actions. And they want to be in just and fair and balanced and authentic and loving relationships. But not everybody's there, and we need to see the truth of it. Some people would like to do love, but they're scared to do love. They can get in a relationship, but if it starts to get into the danger zone where they could feel like, oh my gosh, I'm starting to love this person, and then they could bolt. Not willing to take the risk of you got to be willing to take a risk, and it got to be able to believe you can pick yourself back up again if it doesn't work out. And some people aren't willing to find out. Some people would rather be in more superficial and shallow relationships. Some people are bossy and controlling in shadowy Aries energy, and if they can't be bossy and controlling with people, then they don't want to work with those people. So, listen to your intuition about where you might be in the story, how you harness your Aries energy, how other people in your life might harness their Aries energy. The truth sets us free. If we see that people haven't learned lessons to be a more just and fair and stable and grounded, emotionally mature person who's loving, then we need to see the truth of it. Quit living in denial. Okay, well, we have criticism, self-image, study, money matters, children. A card not showing itself. You are the boss of your life. You can hire, fire, and promote accordingly. The reason these came out is because of the travel card. So the travel card kind of reminds me of Sagittarius energy, which is also fire sign energy, which people can be kind of immature and self-indulgent, or they've kind of wrapped their brain around this game of life. You know, some people have a harsh, critical inner voice, and kind of what's inside people kind of ends up being shown to other people. If they're very harsh and critical to themselves, eventually, they're going to be harsh and critical with other people. If you're loving and encouraging to yourself, you can be loving and encouraging to other people. Everybody can have been harsh and critical and belittling and berating of themselves, but other people put in work and effort to kind of realize what was truly abundant about them. And it isn't their looks, and it isn't what they wear, and it isn't how much money they have. Some people realize that, that's just kind of superficial. What really makes me abundant is that I have that hopeful, believing spirit, and I'm loving, and I'm nurturing, and I'm supportive and encouraging. And, other people are like, oh, no, no, no. I got to look this way, and I got to act this way, and I need that money, and I need to act that way. And they're kind of going about repeating an old pattern. This card is reminding me of the Six of Cups, which is Scorpio energy. We've either kind of wrapped our brain around this game of life and kind of seen through how our own shadow nature and the world and our fear and all those things can manipulate us. And we realize that the most important thing about me isn't what I look like, what I wear, what I drive, how much money I have. that the most valuable asset we really have is kind of like our character and our integrity and our loving nature and our authentic nature. Some people have learned that. Some people haven't. And again, this is a feminine figure that's a child. The feminine figures can talk about how we think and feel. The masculine energies can kind of be us, how we present ourselves in the world. We can all present ourselves in the world whatever way we want. If we have a harsh, critical inner voice, the way we get along with people is we haven't learned to take charge of our own life. And some people haven't. And they let their more egoic, immature nature run their life. No, I've got to do this. No, I got to do that. No, I should live my life like this. I should go indulge in that. That'll make me happy. That'll make me look victorious and successful. And it's like, no, it starts within you. You have to do this work within yourself. But people don't want to invest their time, energy, and effort in that. They don't think there's any reward in that. They don't get it. So we'll all keep repeating a pattern over and over until we're willing to see the truth of it. And some people may never be willing to, be enlightened to the truth. Okay. I look at this card as the overarching reason for the reading, and it's a sweetheart card. And again, a feminine figure, which just talks about how we think and feel. What drives and motivates us emotionally? What do we love? And we're probably going to go Sagittarius energies about moving forward and taking action. We're going to go take action in the world depending on what we're emotionally invested in as thinking is the answer to our problems. High vibe people are emotionally invested in loving themselves, offering themselves compassion and forgiveness for the lessons they've had to learn and being a fallible human being, and they offer love and compassion to other people for them being a fallible human being. But they see who still hasn't learned lessons, and those people I'm going to kind of distance myself from because they're still being immature or bossy or controlling or whatever. And I'm going to go find the people. The birds card over here is also Sagittarius energy. I'm going to go find the other people in the world who were inspired to wrap their brain around this game of life. I need to grow and heal and mature myself so that I can be in relationships with other loving people who are motivated and inspired by love. Otherwise, I'll keep repeating an old pattern, maybe indulging people and myself in poor behavior, and then I'm not going to manifest what I want to manifest in my life. So what's going on in Aries right now? The Death card. Why? Because of despair. We all can have people in our life. The Death card can just be that things change. Nothing stays the same. The ending card, like the Death card in tarot, is Scorpio energy. The despair card could be kind of like a Five of Cups. We all have experienced situations in our life where either we've had people who've moved away, passed away, aren't working together with us cooperatively in a relationship from love, and we're sad. Are we willing to work through that heartbreak to be able to kind of with the Six of Cups, kind of, which is also Scorpio energy, kind of offer love to it? Again, the answer is love. Some people have learned how to do that. They've offered love to situations in their life, situations from their past. We all could have grown up and known people in our life that were bossy or controlling or hurtful or unkind. Shadowy Scorpio were bossy or controlling, emotionally shallow, superficial, intimidating, not very loving. Why were they like that? Because they went through their issues that they probably haven't dealt with. Are we going to keep repeating the same pattern? Or do we want to do different? I am inspired to do different. we've all went through situations like that. Then, well, let's continue on. We'll get to it. Then we have the Anchor card and the House. Capricorn and Taurus energy, two earth sign energies. We all want to be in relationships. We all want, to have jobs, stability, security, come together with other people in joy and celebration. This card, of course, reminds me of the Four of Wands in Tarot, which is Aries energy. So again, Taurus represents our philosophy of life. So what are we in our foundation of self inspired by in our philosophy of life? Capricorn energy, what do we view as victorious and successful? Are we seduced by earth sign energy and fire sign energy, where we're more caught up in these things of the world, money, materialism, status, power, influence, social clout, codependency? I just want to be in a relationship to be in a relationship. I'm sad. Let's go get in a relationship. Well, sometimes just getting in a relationship because you're sad, because you want to feel better, isn't such a good idea. But, everyone could have done that. Earth sign energy could be, I'm just going to go indulge in these things of the world to make myself feel better. I'm sad. Something didn't work out the way I wanted. I think these things of the world are going to make me happy. I'm going to go indulge in those things. Relationships, sex, drugs, rock and roll, booze, drugs, whatever. Well, we've probably been kind of immature in our life and we have these lessons to learn. And then we have the Fish card, which is Pisces, emotional water sign energy that has to do with our dreams and our intuition and our emotions. And the reason that came out is because of a short illness. So it's kind of like having eaten from the poison apple and an emotional, it looks like a feminine figure to me with long red hair. The long red hair kind of reminds me of Queen of Wands energy, where we're kind of more in our ego emotionally. This figure seduction card has red hair, and it just because of do enough tarot card readings and different decks, kind of what are we trying to, some people prey on people that have had endings. Oh, look, they're sitting over here like waiting, using their intuition in a shadowy way. Oh, look, there's someone who experienced an ending. Let me go see if I can go get in a relationship with them. I'll present myself in Aries, Capricorn, Taurus. I'm this victorious, successful person in the world that's stable and grounded, is a pillar of community. You should get in a relationship with me. And they use their intuition, their emotions, their sexuality, their assets, their resources, all in a shadowy way to try to kind of be a scam artist in the world. I want to indulge in a relationship. I have my own issues I don't deal with in the short illness. I also haven't learned to love myself. I haven't been inspired in the Sith card, which also reminds me of the Death card, like the Ending card, Scorpio energy. But this card says Libra. I haven't been inspired to get more balanced. Libra is represented by the scales of justice. I haven't learned to love myself, to be inspired to get more balance within myself. So I keep thinking it's just and fair to keep indulging in my more devil, shadowy nature, which then is half-truths, is what comes up at the end. Half-truths to try to get people to move forward with them in relationships. It makes it look like they've moved on, they've healed, they've grown, they've changed. They're not immature. They're not manipulating people. They're not bossy or controlling. They're not tipped out of balance. No. Let's go on this journey. The only thing is, this journey card looks like an old black and white photo. And that can represent like the Six of Cups over here. I keep repeating an old pattern. And we'll all keep repeating an old pattern until we've learned the lesson we're meant to learn from it. That I can go take action in the world more out of fear and insecurity and pride and ego and lust and greed. Well, I'm not planting good seeds. Odds are it might not work out the way I think to be a more emotionally mature, just and fair and stable grounded relationship if I'm not in that energy. So hopefully people, if they're doing that in their life, kind of their intuition hopefully would start to tell them that, when I haven't learned to love myself and worked through some of these issues from my past so that in the death card, I can emotionally detach from them, offer myself that cup of love to work through it, accept the truth I was in. I've grown up with people, I've known people. Those people had their own issues they were dealing with. And some of them people maybe weren't very loving, very just, very fair. Am I willing to deal with the truth of that? I can only take responsibility for how I contributed to those things not working out better. And I can do that work within myself to listen to my intuition and heal myself. But I can't heal other people in the world. They have to make that free will choice. And the fact is, there are people who are hurtful and unkind and all those things. Can we accept the truth of it? That they're a fallible human being just like we are, and just see the truth of why they maybe live their life the way they do? And if they haven't offered love to their own past pain and heartbreak and got too caught up in themselves or their ego or these things of the world, it could have driven their life off into the ditch. And so then it was confusing for me to be in a relationship with someone who wasn't... I could have been wanting to do love and the other person wasn't really healthy, kind of tipped out of balance. And I can just see the truth. It is and was what it was. And not put an end to repeating that old pattern or staying in that energy. I wrapped my brain around it. I was inspired to offer love to it. Some of you could have been dealing with a Libra or a Capricorn, but it can just be other people in the world who thought it in their Libra aspect of self that it was just and fair in their Capricorn aspect of self to be more about themselves, got caught up in addiction, got caught up in lust or greed or immaturity, bad coping skills, and they have some lessons to learn. And some of them are still repeating some of those kind of not the healthiest habits. But as long as they keep thinking it's just and fair, and those things they indulge in will be the answer to their problems, they're going to keep indulging in it. Other people have maybe already done that route, and it kind of left them kind of confused. Why didn't this work out the way I wanted? And then they were kind of inspired to wrap their brain around, gee, I went and did this, and I ate this and drank that and hung out with these people and did all this. Why did it not work out the way I thought? How was I kind of being manipulated? Was I not seeing the truth of people I got in relationship with? Was I could have been sad that relationships didn't work out or certain situations in my life, but I could have went and met new people in the world who I was attracted to, who seemed stable and grounded and, attracted to, or I wanted to take that job, and I went to go get in a new situation, had hope and faith and belief that we could all heal. We all can have some past pain and heartbreak and some self-limiting beliefs and some harsh critical inner voices and whatever, Are we all willing to kind of do this work together? Are we all inspired to get more balance within ourselves if we're in a friendship, a relationship, or a workplace? That can kind of be the sweetheart card where we're in a situation that at least initially seems kind of encouraging and inspiring and supportive and encouraging, kind of provides us maybe in Libra energy some more balance in our life, even if it's a friend group. Are we all willing to kind of do this work within ourselves to work through the devil, these kind of things that could manipulate us and cause us to behave poorly in the devil card in the relationship, that kind of stops the relationship from moving forward victoriously? If we want to move forward victoriously, we have to, with the change card being a vehicle, reminding me of the Chariot. The Chariot is Cancer energy and emotional water sign energy about love. Are we all willing to kind of see through the illusion and all these things that manipulate us and keep us in our defensive nature, our not wanting to really quite deal with the truth? But if we really want to not repeat some of these old patterns, we have to have victory over those old patterns. And it does take time. And that's where some people kind of give in to going back and kind of indulging themselves in these old vices or patterns, or because you even have to be inspired to want to get more balanced. And some people are like more balance between like my more loving, hopeful, creative, inspired, believing in my dreams nature, and my more about me or these things of the world. Some people are like, I reject that within myself anyway. I might not even, I don't want to grow up. I don't want to mature. I don't, high vibe Aries would be being a good leader in your own life. And if other people in your life, when you make decisions that would affect those people, you take those people into consideration. And some people are like, no, I don't want to do any of that. I might create the illusion that that's how I want to move forward and that I'm motivated and inspired by love, so people will move forward with me in a relationship, because I like, in a more shadowy Sagittarius energy, I like to indulge myself in relationships with people. And I've told myself I think it's just and fair for me to tell them half-truths to get them to move forward with me in a relationship. So I look like I've moved on, that I'm a loving person. Look, I got this loving person to be in a relationship with me. But I'm really just repeating an old pattern. They just don't know it yet. And that's also what Pisces energy could be about, where people kind of get caught up in the illusion of who they think people are, but they really maybe aren't seeing them clearly, because they also want this dream to come into reality, and they want to be in these friendships, relationships, and jobs, so they can kind of be seduced by these things of the world that tempt them, and these dreams that they have, and these hopes, and might kind of just be hopeful and believing that other people will be motivated and inspired by love, and they'll change, and they'll put an end, with this card kind of looking to the death card, they'll put an end to being more immature or more bossy or more controlling or defensive or fearful of love or whatever. I'm sure they'll overcome those things of the past in time, and they'll see the truth. Kind of the key, Leo. Leo energy is also represented by the sun. So the key is like being illuminated to the truth. That eventually they'll see the truth and they'll align with their more loving nature. Well, that doesn't always go as planned, because some people, they think the key to their maybe feeling stable and grounded and emotionally balanced within themselves is to align with imprisoning their more emotionally intuitive, loving nature. If I don't let my more emotionally loving nature out to play, then I can't get hurt. And that's how some people are living their life, a death to being hurt. I have an idea Not an idea inspired by hope and faith and belief and love, but out of kind of inspired out of love for themselves. I don't want to get hurt anymore. I'm done connecting in with my more emotionally intuitive, loving nature. My foundation is going to be inspired to operate emotionally from my ego nature. And I will just create this illusion about why some other relationships didn't work out the way I wanted. And I'll use my emotions and my sexuality and my charm and my assets, whatever they are, your looks, your money, your status, whatever, to try to create the illusion that I'm being inspired by love. But it's really for me just to indulge in a relationship. And then if they get in relationships with people, someone's bought into the illusion of who they are. They want those people to stay in that energy. They do not want those people to be inspired to love themselves, to free themselves from the things that manipulate them. Because if you get in a relationship and you have certain fears, insecurities, self-limiting beliefs, view life a certain way, view yourself a certain way, view relationships a certain way, they want you to stay in that energy. So like a death card and a devil card is, let's stay in stagnant energy. Let's not give birth to anything new. High vibe energy is about working through those issues to keep shedding old layers of yourself. And you keep giving birth to like a new you. Like the nesting dolls, you were 15, you shed your 15-year-old ways of viewing life, and you acted more like an 18-year-old, and then you were like an 18-year-old, and then when you were going to become 21, you looked at the things in your life that you needed to put an end to that are kind of immature, whatever, egotistical, immature, whatever. I need to detach from those because now I want to become like a 21-year-old. And it is kind of like Scorpio death card is like this death and rebirth of yourself. We're not meant to stay static and stagnant. We're meant to do this throughout our life. We look at what are those fears and insecurities that stop me from moving forward, loving and believing in myself, to face my fears of going to the next phase of life. But there's some people in life that did kind of give up on their dreams. They have a way of living life that could make them happy, that they love, and they don't want to give up any of those things. And that can be a variety of things. I don't want to work through my past pain and heartbreak. That's coming with me. I am kind of more aligned with and seduced by the world, and my ego or my image, or these things I like to indulge in, or money and materialism, whatever it is. I don't want to let go of those things. And then they kind of have these illusions about what it means to be in a relationship that maybe aren't so healthy, but they don't want to change their opinion on any of those things either. I have this way of viewing life that I enjoy, that I love, that I think are just and fair, and it's kind of a little toxic. You know, the devil card in like the Rider-Waite tarot deck looks just like the Lover's card, except that the people have chains and shackles on them. And, you know, with our dualistic nature, our high vibe, creative, inspired, loving, intuitive nature is, at the big picture, kind of represented by God, and our more shadowy, immature, prideful, egotistical, immature, defensive, want reward without effort nature is, at the big picture, represented by the devil. And shadowy energy doesn't want us to give birth to anything new, because our own shadow nature wants us to align with our more shadowy nature. So our shadow nature is kind of in the driver's seat of our life. And that's kind of how I view the Chariot sometimes. Some people try to create the illusion, oh no, my loving nature's in the driver's seat of my life. My shadow nature's in the back seat. I don't let it run my life. But they're lying. You know, they just create the illusion that their loving nature is what guides the decisions they make in their life. But even that is an illusion. Their shadow nature is in the front seat of their life. Their fear, their insecurity, their pride, their ego, their immature nature, their unwillingness to change. I have this way of viewing life that I like, and I'm going to keep doing it this way, like maybe forever. And if over time, some people in their life start to see the truth, that they don't really let their more authentic, loving nature out to play in the world, and they kind of realize they're in a relationship with someone who might have some growing and healing and maturing to do, might have some past pain and heartbreak that they would benefit from working through, but they don't want to, then you can find yourself moving forward in a relationship where one person is motivated and inspired to work through how these things manipulate them, and the other person isn't interested in working through those things. And you have one person who's inspired to change and free themselves from things that manipulate them, and another person who doesn't want to free themselves from things that manipulate them. And as you move forward in the relationship, and it can take quite a while, because initially we might put a lot of work and effort to bringing a dream into reality and working through all the things that we kind of need to negotiate about, just for a relationship to move forward. And then as time goes further in a relationship, and then one person could kind of be ready to move forward in life differently, like, I've kind of worked through some of my things. I'm ready to kind of get more in the driver's seat of my life, or maybe before I wasn't. I could have been repeating a pattern of the past. You could have been repeating a pattern of the past. Somehow our patterns and ways of some things about how we viewed life or whatever were kind of a lot alike. But when one person frees themselves from things that imprison them, that's when the other person can turn their back to them, and it's like, you can go. I'm not going to change. I have a way of viewing life. I don't want to do life any differently. It would maybe require me to work through those things. I could have fear of looking at those things because I don't want to see the truth about myself or some other people in my life. They could have people in their life that they love that kind of manipulate and control them, that use the love that they have for them to manipulate them. And even, our ego and our pride in the world can manipulate us. Our friends, our family members can try to manipulate us. Don't move forward like this. Don't move forward with those people. I don't want you to go move forward in an emotionally balanced, loving nature and free yourself from some of these things of how we've lived life, because then I'm going to be back here living my life like this and you have moved on. Well, that would bother me, and I might kind of be jealous or envious, and so I'm going to try to stop you from moving forward, loving and believing in yourself, moving forward with people who are loving and encouraging and supportive. And I try to use the love that you have for me to get you up in your head, get you up in your fear, try to seduce you if I'm a romantic partner. Don't do that. Don't trust those people. Don't love and believe in yourself. You should be in a relationship with me. You should make your life about these things. I'll make my life about these things if you make your life about those things. But then it can just even be friends and family members. Well, if you go do that, and you kind of align more with that aspect within yourself and those people, well, if I'm living my life like this, I don't like you living your life like that. And so then people can just have people in their life that told them you should end that relationship, even if you found those people put in work and effort and they were stable and they were loyal and you had passion for them, or they inspire you to love and believe in yourself. No, don't move forward with those people. They do things different than we do. They're maybe more free and inspired than you are. I think one day, you know what? I bet they'll leave you. I bet that, and, who are the people in our life who are encouraging us to not get up in our head, not get up in our fear and our insecurity, to let love and intuition guide us, to listen to our intuition, and who are the people in our life who try to instill fear and insecurity in us and not trust ourselves, not believe in ourselves, not trust others, not believe in love. Everybody can try to point out, like, well, are people treating you in a just and fair way? Are they being loving and nurturing and encouraging and supportive? But there can be other people who could tell lies about loving people in people's lives because they don't want them to go live their life differently and free themselves from things that other people in their life could be making their life about, and the types of relationships and friendships they're in, because it would bother them. So instead of me dealing with why it bothers me about you moving forward and loving and believing in yourself or hanging out with those people, I know I will tell you a lie, get you caught up in your head, make you distrustful of loving yourself, staying balanced within yourself. I'll try to tip you out of balance, tempt you in the love you either have for me as your friend or your family member, or if I'm a romantic interest, I'll try to tempt you in that way. We can all have people in our life that, talking about romantic interests, that we could have liked to have had a dream come into reality with, and we could kind of be attracted to them, right? Well, some of those relationships aren't in our life anymore, right? And so then we get in new relationships and we have hope and faith and belief in that relationship. And hopefully we're in loving, inspiring relationships where we're putting an end, maintaining balance within ourselves to not give in to repeating some poor past patterns. It can be kind of difficult, though, if a relationship ended back here, people kind of got in maybe some new relationships. Why did they get in those new relationships? And say, what if someone from the past gets out of a relationship? And then that person is moving forward, looking to get in a relationship, and other people have moved on with someone else. Then, some people have to do this work within themselves. We can't really go back to the past. Everybody changes. And they have to kind of look at why they're doing what they're doing. Periodically we just got to reassess our life. Is the relationships that we're currently in kind of dead? Not very loving? Nothing growing there? Not maturing? We're sad? Do we stay in it because we're seduced by those things of the world? It looks really victorious and successful. Have we learned to love and believe in ourselves? Were we kind of indulging in the relationship? Were other people indulging in a relationship with us? What is our truth? Why are we doing what we're doing? Why are people that are in our life doing what they're doing? The people that hopefully are high vibe, when they can have regrets about a past relationship that it didn't work out, but when they go to get in a new relationship, they are committed to trying to make that relationship work, so long as that relationship and the people that they're working with are working together with them in a just and fair manner. And the devil can mean, that people are attracted to each other and the sweetheart, that there's love there, and everybody is kind of motivated to keep facing their fears and their insecurities, to keep moving forward. We can go through periods of time where it can maybe feel a little stagnant, but there's a time for every season or whatever. And if we keep offering truth and love, and we extend grace to people, and hopefully if we think people are doing this work with us, that we can work through things and find our direction again, right? To keep what we have invested in on the right path. But sometimes we have to look and see, am I in a mismatched relationship? Did one job, friendship, relationship end? I went and got another relationship. We both could have had the best intentions, or one did, one didn't. Kind of a mismatched relationship. Was it more out of codependency? Was it more out of lust or greed? Was it to feel more stable and grounded within ourselves because we wanted to be in a relationship? Are both people kind of not telling the truth? What is our truth? Some of you, as you're moving forward in life, if you got out of one situation, you might be focusing more on just feeling stable and grounded within yourself in Earth sign energy of Capricorn and Taurus within your foundation of self, to keep having hope and faith and belief in your dreams, to not be tempted more by the world and your pride and ego and go repeat some poor past pattern. It's like, no, I'm inspired to get the justice I deserve, and I'm going to have victory over those things that manipulate me, that could tempt me to want to get in relationships with people who I think have already shown me that they're probably not motivated and inspired by the same things I am. Otherwise, we'd maybe still be in a relationship. Could it be true that we all had lessons to learn? And the whole thing is, if people, we can separate, not really hang out with people, friendships, kind of leave a job, leave a romantic relationship, and people can still have respect and love for other people. But, it could be a variety of reasons of maybe people weren't as grown and mature. People kind of wanted to still go indulge in the world, or were indulging in certain things that made it incompatible. Everybody can have some growing up and maturing to do. In that case, sometimes when, even though we could have gotten out of certain friendships or relationships, or didn't even get in certain friendships and relationships, but we could maybe know some people, once we kind of have learned the lessons we were meant to learn from some other situations we were in, that might be when we kind of realize that, I could have had people in my life who were more on the same page as me, but because of lessons I needed to learn, my own fears, my own defensiveness or whatever, I could have kind of pushed people away. I could have been repeating a pattern, maybe used to being in relationships and trying to get in relationships with other people who don't believe in love, because those are the kind of people I'm used to being in a relationship with, versus being in relationships with people who are loving. It's like, ooh, that's outside my comfort zone. I'm not used to that. I'm used to being in relationships with people who are more about the world or whatever. And I'm not used to being in relationships kind of with people who challenge me to grow and heal and mature myself. That's where I don't think, if you're a loving person that has a tendency and has had a tendency to get in relationships with other people like, oh my gosh, I'm going to help them love and believe in themselves. I certainly don't think at the time you thought it was ego, but I think when we kind of look at it from this perspective, it was us kind of staying in our comfort zone. Because if we get in relationships with people who are more immature, bossy, controlling, impulsive, reckless, whatever, I guess if it doesn't work out, we could always say, well, they were impulsive, they were reckless, they had addictions, they were immature, whatever. But if we get in a relationship with someone who treats us the way we treat them, it might be out of our comfort zone. So for one, it requires us to face our fears that this is outside my comfort zone. I'm kind of tempted to want to go repeat this pattern because I know how to work with people like that. I'm not really used to being in a relationship with someone who treats me the way I treat them. And then I've got to deal with these own issues within myself of why don't I let someone be more loving to me? And that's where there can be these issues buried within us that we haven't dealt with. And yeah, I think it just requires us to deal with things that kind of imprison us. No, I like to be the loving person in people's lives where they have the ones with some issues to deal with, not me, but we all have issues within ourselves to deal with, right? So, high vibe people work through regrets of the past. They put in work and effort to not repeat old patterns, to love and believe in themselves, to get balance within themselves, face their fears, see through the illusions, get in the driver's seat of their life, make peace with the past, to have these new beginnings. And if anyone from their past communicates with them, pops back up in their life, I think they'd be willing to, because of the lessons they've learned, I'll be willing to talk to people about lessons that they've learned and why they want to talk to me. But if I'm already in a relationship with people who are moving forward with me in this way, like a romantic relationship, so long as those people and we're doing this work together, I'm not going to indulge my more shadowy nature. And I could be kind of sad because it could have been someone who I really at one time had really wanted them to be in my life. But if I'm in a new relationship, and if the new relationship I'm in seems to be we're on the same path, we're driven and motivated by the same things, then I'm going to keep moving forward with that person. And wish other people peace. And then if you were one of those people who communicated with someone who moved on with someone else, then you got to deal with, oh, well, then they're kind of a role model in your life. I do know that person had certain traits and characteristics that I liked. And I'm still not going to repeat old patterns, and I'm going to just keep moving forward, believing the divine has a different plan for my life. Some people come into our life to be a good example in our life, but they're not the person we're meant to be with. Other people came into our life to be a bad example. They could have seemed a lot like us, but then we could have found out they are more immature, have some shadowy traits and characteristics that we found out we didn't like. And that was just for us to learn those subtle differences between people of what kind of drives and motivates, why they do what they do. And if I'm motivated and inspired by love, and I found some other people, it might have been, they might have enjoyed being in the relationship for a lot of the same reasons I did, but it could have been more the ego or the image or the indulgence, and it never was going to maybe be a more authentic, deep, meaningful relationship. And that's what I want, and that might not be what they want. So they wanted to go repeat an old pattern, and I'm ready to kind of give birth to something new, and they're not. And I've had people work through the sadness of those relationships that didn't work out the way they wanted, and they offer themselves that cup of love to keep believing in their dreams. And some of the people that are more about themselves, are more materialistic, do kind of like or think their idea of the dream relationship is to kind of live more from their mind than their heart and not deal with some of their issues or be more authentic. They'll probably keep doing that with someone else, until they decide they want to live their life differently. And some people never decide that. Everybody's on their own journey. How codependent are they? How bossy and controlling and immature are they? How materialistic are they? How self-defensive and self-centered, all about themselves are they? And, probably the worse people are, the less they want to deal with the truth of it and want to stay in denial of it. And some people are trying to decide why they're living their life the way they are, why some people are in friendships and relationships with them. Do they have their best intentions? Do they not? Because there are times when we're moving forward in our life in a certain way, and it's like, wait. Just like these kind of mismatched relationships. Wait a minute. I think I kind of got off track here with the devil. I thought everything was going along fine, and things in our life for a long time can be going along fine. But there's no guarantee when someone is going to kind of start drifting their life off into the ditch, and then they want us to go down there in the ditch with them. Oh, I want to start making my life about this. You should come with me, and you should start making your life about that. It's like, I think that kind of tips me out of balance and kind of takes me off my path of where I'm going. But because I like them, they're my friend, or they're a romantic interest and I love them, it can be challenging. But when are we willing to see when other people seem to be going off the path, trying to manipulate us or control us, or don't seem to have ulterior purposes, seem to have gotten caught up in things that maybe initially wasn't the driving factor at the beginning of a relationship. Things change over time. And sometimes as we're moving forward, that's when people will maybe start, there's some pattern of a way of living life or viewing life or something that could get them to start repeating an old pattern. And it's like, why are you doing that? And we offer truth and love. Are we on the same path? And some people might decide I need to retreat to work through some issues before I decide who I'm going to move forward with moving forward. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Aries energy that they might not see coming? Who are the people in our life who we think are trying to seduce us with things of the world and tempt us more in our immature nature, our materialistic nature, use the love that we have for them to try to manipulate us, make us think that we can't, listen to our own intuition and put in this work and effort to manifest our dreams, like we're codependent on them. Our dream isn't codependent on a certain person. It's being in relationships with people who are on the same page as us. So, high vibe people, what they might not see coming, the Ten of Swords. Why? Because of the Six of Cups and the Queen of Wands. Scorpio, Leo energy. If people are trying to overcome something and their own shadow nature and other people in their life who they think are shadowy, those people are going to complete a cycle. The tens in tarot talk about completing a cycle. You have worked through all the different thought processes through it. You've looked at the different people and who seems to be genuine, who seems to be authentic, who seems to be telling the truth, who seems to be trying to manipulate me, who seems to have reconciled their self with things of the past to, in high vibe Leo, be more open and authentic and loving and warm and encouraging. And for some people, they do know some people that they could have gotten out of relationships with in the past, and they have nothing but love for those people. I really enjoyed when we were in a relationship. You were really nice, loving, nurturing, supportive. But that phase of my life is over, because when that relationship did end, I did move forward with some new people. And we kind of have that same relationship. If I'm already in a relationship like that, why would I get out of that to get in a different relationship? you know. I'm looking for people that are loving, that are encouraging and inspiring for me to maintain balance and face my fears. And I'm doing that for them, and we're moving forward in that way. But if the people that I realize I am moving forward with aren't, I'm also willing to see the truth of that. One way or another, it's completing a cycle. If I have found out that I'm moving forward with people who I maybe didn't want to see the truth of, but have been repeating a poor past pattern, and I feel they're trying to manipulate me or tempt me in my more worldly nature, those people I'm getting out of a relationship with. Who's telling me, illuminating the truth? Who's telling me half-truths? And people have to see that within myself. How can I be tempted by my own immature, shadowy nature that wants to tempt me with half-truths? I'm not going to give in to my shadow nature. I want to make decisions based on truth and love. Who is being authentic and just and fair? Who's trying to tempt me in my shadow nature? Who would I take action towards that I would be acting more out of my shadow nature? I don't want to do that. And some people could decide, you know, some of the people in my past and some of the people, if I've been in a relationship, neither one of them. I need to, you know, if you think there's kind of bad traits with different people that you've gone out with, then neither one. Anyway, the Six of Cups talks about reconciling yourself with the past. High vibe, Queen of Wands, Leo energy. I offered myself love and compassion. I offered them love and compassion to move on. And I'm not going to let the fact, if I have love for people, but those people aren't putting in work and effort to be in a relationship with me, I need to deal with the truth of that. I can't stay in illusion. And I'm going to be inspired to love myself and overcome my fears to keep moving forward. And I'm going to go on a new journey. I'm going to let those things be in the past. I can only work with people who are working together with me. And I'm going to work with the friends and family members. And if I'm in a romantic interest with someone who I'm attracted to, who challenges me, and I challenge them to be bold and brave and confident and be in deep, meaningful relationships, I'm going to keep investing in those people. Otherwise, I'm going to be looking for those people or communicating with the people in my life, past, present, or future, that I think are on that same page as me. And I'm not going to backstab and betray myself, and I'm not going to let other people backstab and betray me. I'm not going to let my own shadow nature backstab and betray me. I'm not going to let people who were in shadowy energy, if they were hurtful and unkind, bossy, controlling, abusive, egotistical, I'm not going to let people who are in shadowy energy make me give up on believing in myself and believing in my dreams. I just let go of them. And I'm going to keep moving forward, maintaining balance, maybe pursuing new friendships, relationships, or jobs. The devil can kind of represent all those things. And I'm going to keep moving on victoriously over the past to have these new beginnings, working through my fears and insecurities, staying focused on truth and love as I move forward. What's coming up for some people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Aries energy that they might not see coming? The Tower, the Seven of Wands, and the Emperor. And the reason is because of the Six of Cups. So, like I maybe said at the beginning, Aries energy is about the self. And some people are still just more about themselves. I don't want them to have to make decisions that are best for everyone involved. I kind of think it is more about me. I do think I should kind of be deferred to in relationships. And they haven't wanted to see the truth of it. They probably have things happen in their life here and there, like the rest of us. The Tower is about trying to get us to see the truth of our own foundation and how we can be repeating these old patterns of the Six of Cups. You're repeating an old pattern. You know, it's kind of like you have learned everything you've needed to learn from this phase of life. It's over. There are no more new lessons to learn here. You are supposed to love and believe in yourself, get balance within yourself, face your fears, get in the driver's seat of your life, and move forward in life. There is nothing new to learn here. But if we keep no, 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 I am defensive to making that decision. Emperor's about making decisions. No, no, I want to keep repeating this old pattern. It's kind of like someone trying to stay like a 21-year-old all their life, where, they're 45 and 55 and 65, and other people are moving on. And it becomes more and more unstable because the reason we refuse to leave is we indulge our more immature nature. Well, some people want to keep repeating that same pattern, but they want people to view them as a high vibe Aries. It's like, but you keep repeating these old patterns and kind of defensive ways of being, prideful ways of being, stubborn ways of being, manipulative ways of being. Other people have kind of grown up out of that, and they're making better decisions in their life. And eventually people kind of see the truth of people. Originally, people could have viewed them as more high vibrational, but they keep doing things that, stop them from maybe putting in more work and effort to work cooperatively with people in a relationship or a workplace, because they always kind of give into their more immature ways of being. And then things don't move forward the way they could even tell people, oh no, this is what I'm going to do. Oh yeah, no, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and this is going to be great. And then it never happens. And other people see the truth of it, and other people quit being in a relationship with them. Or they fire them, And these people, oh, no, it wasn't me. It was those other people. You should still defend me. I'm still the boss. And people do kind of, they can love and encourage them. Oh, no, I'm sure. We don't really know everything that was going on. And maybe those people weren't who they said they were. And then they defend these people. And then the same thing happens again. Or these people act in this way again, kind of being immature, wanting to go indulge himself in whatever it is they indulge himself in. And it, could just be being intimidating and controlling, being hurtful and unkind, being stubborn, being bossy or controlling. And they keep thinking people are going to keep indulging them in these more immature ways of being, and other people who get in relationships with them see the truth of it, that I'm not going to keep moving forward with you. You're kind of not telling the truth, or kind of toxic, kind of deceptive, try to manipulate me or use the love that I have for you to keep me indulging you in a relationship. And eventually some high vibe people in their life see the truth. There's been people in their life who didn't want to let go of a relationship with them. But eventually, if they keep being defensive to work, making better decisions in their life and working more cooperatively with people, eventually some high vibe people in their life are like, I'm done. This is not the safe, stable, loving environment I thought it was. Or you're not that type of person, because you keep repeating this old pattern. Or you just like a more emotionally shallow, superficial life. You're more caught up in these things of the world and ego. And I want to be in relationships with people who are inspired by love. And that's not you. And eventually those people leave their life. And some of them are leaving people's lives that are like that right now. That could be a shock to them. I can't believe you're standing up for yourself. You didn't stand up for yourself before. It's like, people can put in a lot of work and effort to try to heal relationships, to motivate and inspire people. But there comes a time, where enough's enough. And you can't stay in denial of the truth anymore. If people were motivated and inspired to be more just and fair in a relationship, they would be. And if they keep not being just and fair and authentic and forthcoming, they're not interested apparently, and then the high vibe people become defensive to them. You can go repeat that pattern with someone else. From the 7, the Emperor holds the 1 wand. From the 7 down to the 1 wand, letting go of a 6 of wands. This is not a victory I want to keep defending. I no longer view it as victorious. I don't think you're motivated and inspired by love. I think you're motivated and inspired by other things. Or you're just kind of more of an immature player. That's shadowy Sagittarius. And shadowy fire sign energy. You're just more about you and being indulged, or ego or image or whatever. And that's not what I'm looking for. And eventually the people who do harness high vibe Aries energy detach from the people who defend their more shadowy Aries way of being. They do not harness their energy the same way. One wants a more superficial, shallow life and relationship. The other one wants a more deep, meaningful, loving relationship. And if these people that are kind of shadowy don't want to keep dealing with the truth and get seduced by their worldly egoic nature, I have an idea. I'll just go present myself as this just and fair person to someone else who might have fears and insecurities because something in their life didn't work out, and I'll try to seduce them to get in a relationship, and they'll be the next person who I try to trap in a relationship, not being truthful and honest, that I'm really kind of more about my ego and my image, my lust or my greed, or I'm bossy or controlling, even though that isn't who I present myself as being. And if they keep acting like this, they're going to have other people who want to be in a relationship with them, other people who might be on the same page as them. I don't want to do deep, meaningful relationships either. I'm defensive to being a leader in my own life and being inspired by other than myself in the world. I'll be in a relationship with you. Do you have these things of the world in Capricorn and Taurus energy? Stability, security, a lot of abundance in the world, that if I move forward with you, it looks like I've gotten justice. I have all these things of the world that I love. I'd look like a boss in the world, male or female. I'll be in a relationship with you. That's what drives and motivates me too. Well, that would be a just and fair relationship. Neither one of them are operating from a foundation inspired by love. They're both kind of caught up in making their life more about these things of the world. It's just that it's more maybe of an emotionally shallow, superficial relationship. Because it's more about those things of the world. Or not having to heal, or not having to grow, or not having to deal with the truth. That there's more to life. But they have the free will to live their life that way. It's just high vibe people didn't want to keep staying in a relationship with them. They don't want to be in relationships who keep repeating these old patterns, operating more from their egoic nature. I want to be in relationships with people who freed themselves from the things of the past that made them maybe think that way to begin with. High vibe Leo, they've learned to love and believe in themselves. They have gotten balance between their more inspired nature and their more immature worldly nature. And out of love for themselves, they maintain balance within themselves to put in work and effort from love in relationships. And those are the people I want to go be in a relationship with. And I'm not in my ego anymore. I'm willing to admit that I had some lessons to learn and I repeated some patterns because I had some issues that maybe I hadn't even realized I needed to deal with, or to love and believe in myself, and had issues from my past to deal with. And now that I've overcome that, I'm ready to move forward in life differently. And I want to move forward with other people who want to do that. So there you go, Aries. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.